Now, when you say the word, I invested a lot of money, I know that that value, that dollar amount has to be a high ticket item.
Yeah.
How much was that? A lot of money.
$25,000.
There we go,
Yeah.
people. There we go, people.
$25,000 when I had $5,000 to my name.
Okay.
Make hit to make it
Speak
make
on it.
sense.
How
right?
how did you make that happen, bro?
Through credit, right? So this is what I realized, right? This is what I realized. A lot of people don't reach their goals because of focus. And when I first got into paying for coaching, I was very limited in my beliefs, and it was like I always wanted the cheapest option.
Right.
But the cheapest option usually is not the best option. You're not going to get the most results for that, right? And a lot of people don't understand that when you pay attention.
Ooh.
Me paying somebody $50 is like one day I'm gonna do it, next day I'm off. But paying somebody $25,000,
Yeah.
you're gonna make sure you made that investment back, right? But coming back down to that, man, I had access to some credit cards, and I just hated my current situation enough to where I was able to make a change. Initially when that person told me the investment was $25,000, I said, man, this dude crazy as hell. Ghosted them for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But when I went back to my job as an engineer, I noticed nothing changed.
There we go.
Nothing literally changed. I'm like, I'm sitting here contemplating something that can probably change my life forever. I say I want to do better, but when I'm presented with an opportunity, I'm not even willing to take it. And I realized, like, in order to change my outcome, I got to change my income. What I've been doing, paying for these $500 courses, is not getting me to where I want to. I'm splitting my focus. I need something that's going to give me direct access and a direct blueprint, actionable steps to get to where I want to go. So that's when like I said, I made the investment, maxed out every credit card I had, didn't tell my family, didn't tell my friends, because they wouldn't understand. I'm like a first generation entrepreneur, so they wouldn't understand. And I knew if anything, they're just going to talk me out of it or psych me out of it, right? So I prayed about it. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it, and if it don't work out, I'm gonna just have to work hella overtime. So I made the investment, and looking back, it was the best investment I ever made, and it's exactly where I am today. And I know a lot of people look at risk, right? Everything's risky, and life teaches us to do everything safe. But everybody looks at risk, but one thing they don't look at is the other side of risk, which is rejection, right? What does it cost you not taking that risk? Now you literally live with regret. I'm sorry. The other side of risk is regret. There we go. Does that make sense, right? Yeah. And when you don't take risks, when opportunities are presented to you, you now have regret. And you go on for years and years and years wishing you would have took the opportunity, because the people that do take those opportunities, they end up at the top of the industry. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You think that most people lack focus.
Yeah.
Do you think that fear also plays like a really huge part in that? Because you said something incredibly powerful, man. You paid $25,000 into mentorship when you had $5,000, and you paid it with credit cards. So let me just find this out. Were you using business credit cards so you could hide all of this utilization, or were you going and maxing out your personal, knowing that's going to take a bigger hit on you as well? So like you doubled down on the risk if you went that avenue. Can I start there first?
Yeah, so it was actually a split between both.
Okay.
I think at that time I may have like $15,000 in business credit, so I didn't have a whole bunch.
Right.
And it was 0% interest. I highly recommend you invest and use 0% interest cards, and we'll break that down a little bit later.
Yeah.
And then a little bit on the personal side just to stay afloat. But like I said, I just believed in me, and I knew like I mentioned before, like the only way change happens is if I change. Absolutely. You got to do something different, and you got to be, become, I would say, comfortable being uncomfortable. Those uncomfortable feelings where it's shaky and you like, should I do this, should I not, where you're overthinking, that's just unsure. You're just unsure. You're uncertain about what's going to happen. But on the other side of that, once you make that investment, once you take that hump, you see growth, because you see it's not as bad as we thought it was. That's usually how it always is, no matter what it is, right?
Yeah.
like one of my mentors actually told me this thing. He said fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. So it's just like an ocean, right? When you walk into an ocean, when you look at an ocean, it's a mile wide. You're like, dang, that's the ocean, I'm gonna drown. But then when you step in, it's an inch deep. You're like, oh, it's not that bad. I could take another step, another step, another step, and another step. And you realize that it was just your mental that was stopping you from actually achieving your goals. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that that's a huge point and huge part of also you not telling other people around you. You know what I mean? Because that right there, like you did say, it could hinder you, because those people don't, and not to bash anybody else, because we all have them in our family, right? But you don't know what you don't know. So if they live by fear their whole life, because they were taught fear their whole life, and you try to tell them, I'm gonna go take this big risk and this big swing, I believe in this guy, they're gonna first be like, do you know him? Do you know what I mean? Like you just give him 25,000, but I asked you for 500 last month and you told me no, right? Like there's going to be so many different ways and different excuses that they try to talk you off the ledge of you going to be great because they've never been great. So there's so much power in you keeping that to yourself. And now I know you're the beacon, right? I know you are the light tower for your entire family. And I'm pretty sure whatever you say, word is bond now, right? Whatever Stead brings to the table, everyone's like, jump on it, right?
100%.
That's awesome, bro. Can I ask you, where did that mentality come from? Because you said that there was a shift when you went back to work, right, for 3 weeks after you spoke to that mentor. What happened in there where you're like, I got to do this change? Where, like, mentally, where did you go?
Man, just really, like I tell people, when you dislike your situation enough, you're going to be eager for change. And like I said, working a job, it wasn't horrible, but it just didn't feed me. I feel like my potential was limited. It didn't give me the opportunity, the freedom that I wanted. It didn't give me the life that I wanted to create for myself and my family. And I felt like, yo, like I'm young, like why not now? And what really pushed me to the edge was like my senior engineer, right? My senior engineer. I'm gonna say this: if you ever want to see your future and you're at a job, look at the people that's above you. Look at your supervisor. Look at their life. What are they driving? What are they doing? Look at your senior engineers or your senior respecters, right? How is their life work balance, right? Because a lot of us, we're ignorant. We think that because we are who we say we are, that's not going to be our life, but we're looking directly at it. So going back to that situation, seeing my senior engineer stressed out, working overtime and not even getting paid time and a half because they gave him all the big projects in our office, and him telling me, yo, I'm making 6 figures but don't even feel like it, because after taxes, having the family, it don't even feel like it. Even looking at our badges, our IDs. So when you come into that company, you take a picture when you're young, when you first get into the company. He's been there for 20 years, and just seeing how much weight he's gained, how much stress is in his face now compared to when he came in, I was like, man, this is not where I want to be. And he told me straight up, like, yo, I feel stuck. He said he's put 20 years into this company. He has a pension. He's stuck. He cannot go to another company and start over and lose that pension when he has all his life dependent on this. So me seeing that and knowing that's not what I wanted for my life, I was like, yeah, I'm going to make a change before I get to that. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what I did.
Let's get to the fun stuff, man. I heard you said it earlier. You started off in the credit repair space. Then you saw the check that the other funding company gave to you. And it was 2,000, like that's a good amount, but you and I both know, right? What did that funding company actually make? So what do you recommend having and starting off in the credit repair space, or do you recommend just going all in on funding, learning that game and running that route?
So being honest, it depends how much time and commitment you're going to put into your craft, right? Because starting off in the credit repair space is actually good because you get a great understanding of credit, understanding comparables, negatives, what a profile should look like, removing inquiries, different things like that. And all of that plays into, the funding space, right? So starting off in credit repair is not a bad thing, just because also it's easier to get clients than when it comes to funding, right? If you don't understand marketing to certain aspects. So I would say starting off in credit repair and that being your beginner business is a good business to be into, right? I just wouldn't recommend trying to scale and do that at a high level, just because there's a bunch of regulations and different things that come with it. And typically your clientele, your target audience, they're sometimes financially irresponsible, different things that can come with headaches. We just being real, right? So it's one of those things where it's a good starter business, but you should always be working your way up to eventually get into funding, or at least have funding as an upsell so that you can start really, like I said, getting people through the pipeline, and it gives you the opportunity to actually build your funding clients. Absolutely. And that's why I like credit repair, because you can take somebody from a 500 to a 720, and now you're able to fund them, and now you walk them through the whole process.
And actually being in this space, I met a lot of credit repair guys or girls that are actually really, really good, have incredible customer service, right? They're just afraid of doing like the funding world. And it's funny because when I asked them, like, what are you so afraid of? It's because of like the dollar amount of the money that's being shuffled around, and then asking the customer to pay them once they've delivered what they've delivered, right? The product. And I was like, man, that's so funny for me to hear, because you did all the hard work to get them here. Like without you, they would have nothing. How does that put fear in you to ask what you're worth? Like, they just get to walk around on earth being blessed. Now they got good credit and they got a lot of money. Like, that's weird, but no, you're absolutely right. I'm a huge advocate. I love my credit repair company because, like you said, I like being able to generate leads consistently. Everyone has bad credit, let's be real.
Yeah.
So I'm just being real. So when they do actually get to the good credit and I'm like, now let's go have some fun, right? Let's go get you the funding part. It's just easy. But do I like the money from my funding company? A whole lot more.
Yeah.
Are you ready to turn your dreams into reality? At Deviant Consultations, we're here to guide you, complete white glove service every step of the way. Whether you're starting your credit repair journey or you're looking to get business funding, we've got your back. Go ahead and screenshot or click the QR code below and schedule your discovery call with the team. Let's make your dreams come true together.